I couldn't believe it when I saw it, and I'm not surprised that OutKick is the only place that is covering it. But ESPN analyst Dominique Foxworth, who is paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to give his opinion, went on Bomani Jones's podcast and said that he roots against Josh Allen because he doesn't like the people who root for Josh Allen. And as evidence of why he doesn't like them, he said because they have American flags and dog pictures in their social media profiles. I want you to think about this for a minute. If you wonder why ESPN has lost its way and why so many people have come surging into the OutKick family, it's because of statements like these, which are fundamentally unfair and unbelievably stupid, okay? Not to mention racist. Let's be honest here. If any white ESPN analyst had said he roots against Lamar Jackson because of the people who root for Lamar Jackson, he would be fired on the spot. And it would be a major national story, the comments that he made. Instead, OutKick is the only media entity in the world of sports that's even going to talk about these comments by Dominique Foxworth. Now, let me be clear. I don't ever want anyone canceled, okay? Whether you're a comedian, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a regular person who is not a public figure out there posting your opinions on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever else it might be, I don't believe cancel culture, particularly given its fellowship with identity politics, is in any way healthy for our country. But I do believe that the standard for speech should be evenly applied regardless of your identity, whether you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whether you are gay or straight, whether you are a man or a woman, whether you're religious or not religious at all, whatever different defining characteristics you may have, the standard for what you can say should be the same as the standard for what everyone else can say. This is what gets people who don't like me triggered, because they believe that speech should be dictated by the identity of the person speaking, as opposed to a standard rule that is applied evenly across the entire country. We can't have, in my opinion, a marketplace of ideas where some people are able to say whatever they want and other people are not able to say whatever they want. And if you're not going to condemn stupidity across the board, regardless of who is being stupid, then you are fundamentally failing in your analysis of any argument. And I want you to think about what Dominique Foxworth at ESPN, who is paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for his opinions, is saying here on a podcast, which, by the way, isn't live. I talk to you guys live for 3 hours every day on the radio. I talk to you live every day on television for a half hour. I talk to you live every day on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere you can possibly imagine, live as I'm looking into the camera every day. When you speak and you are live, sometimes you are not as articulate as you would like to be. Sometimes your arguments are not as perfectly crafted as you would hope that they would be. But when you are on a podcast, it is being recorded. People go back over it. They can adjust it. Nobody at ESPN saw anything wrong with one of their NFL analysts they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to, saying that Josh Allen, he doesn't root for him. Not because of anything Josh Allen has ever done, but because of who some of the fans of Josh Allen are. And as evidence of how awful these Josh Allen fans might be, Dominique Foxworth says they have the American flag in their social media pictures, or they have a dog photo. If I could think of the two least offensive things in America today, the American flag and a dog picture should be right up there with babies, your mom, and apple pie. All right? The fact that it is considered to be a negative by a highly paid ESPN analyst that an NFL quarterback's fans would be supportive of the American flag is evidence of how lost ESPN is in terms of who they continue to promote and why they continue to have issues connecting with the larger American sports audience. It is an absolute absurdity. Now, I also believe, I just want you to think about this analogy. If a white ESPN analyst had gone on a show and said he roots against Lamar Jackson because of the people who root for Lamar Jackson, and he roots for him to fail, which is exactly what Dominique Foxworth said about Josh Allen, how quickly would that ESPN analyst be fired? It would be the number one trending topic on all of sports, and he would be fired within 5 minutes of that story going public. And if you wonder why so many people out there are opposed to identity politics and cancel culture, it's one, because it's bad for our country, but two, the rules of identity politics and cancel culture don't apply to you if you are a left-winger. You're able to say and do whatever you want. And so what gets people triggered who don't like me is I apply the exact same standards all day long, every day. And I think it's important for there to be a precedent of my opinions. If you go back and you listen and read to what I wrote 5 years ago, it lines up with what I'm saying today. That's what a judge has to do. A judge can't just go willy-nilly pulling opinions out of the air, because ultimately you have to answer for prior opinions and think about what your opinion is now going forward. In other words, there has to be some sort of philosophy undergirding whatever opinion you might be. And I'm unique in the world of sports and almost unique in the world of media because there is a overall perspective that attaches throughout my entire career. You can go read what I wrote a decade ago and it will line up with what I'm saying today. I've intentionally done that because when I come out with opinions, people think that I'm just shooting at the lip or shooting out my opinions out like crazy. No. I think about them in the context of larger issues like a lawyer would or like a judge would, because one of the things you have to be aware of is whatever argument you make today might be challenged by the fact pattern of tomorrow. And so whatever arguments you make need to be flexible and sound enough to withstand the future factual challenges that might occur. And so Dominique Foxworth, clearly idiotic argument here. But what is more interesting to me is ESPN allowing it to go out even though it was recorded, and his belief that the American flag is controversial and the dogs are controversial and that it's okay to root against Josh Allen because you've decided you don't like the people who root for Josh Allen. Okay, that's different than rooting against a player because you don't like him or because you don't like some of the things that he might have done, right? Rooting against someone because you are stereotyping their fans represents everything that is wrong with the American sports media, and the fact that a far left-winger can get away with this and anybody else who's not a far left-winger would get immediately fired is evidence of a fundamental failure at ESPN to treat its audience with respect and to hold its employees accountable on the same standards of belief and opinion, which they don't do, and which is one of many reasons why OutKick is dunking all over so many different ESPN personalities every day when it comes to the opinions that we share on a daily basis.